So let's analyze another Linus versus Prodigy hand. Single raise pot this time. I think the solver on these kinds of boards likes to bet 2BB, but Linus is going for the 72% sizing a lot, including with his C-bets, and he does so here. Prodigy has, I think every flush draw has some raises in it in GTO. King high flush draws, especially with the low card like King 3, this is a pretty good hand to check raise with. I think it's going to be a relatively high frequency, but it's certainly going to mix. We're also going to call a bunch, but I think this is a pretty good one to do it with. Linus has a pure continue. Let's see, they're 150 BB deep, so Linus is going to have low frequency re-raise on this flop, but not with this combo. Now, ace of hearts, flush completes. Yeah, the solver is going to bet small here. You know, or has small sizes here when he bets. And Prodigy does so too. This is probably his only size, so I'm gonna put the solver, or let the solver take this size only. This allows Prodigy to bet 2 pairs hands, 2 pair set type hands and flushes, which all, like the 2 pair type hands, definitely benefit from some value and protection, and the flushes are very strong, of course. So those flushes then sort of support those 2 pair hands that are betting for value and protection, like fin value and protection. Now, I think holding the 3 of hearts with the king of hearts would make the solver more likely to check, because we're blocking more of the lower flushes that can call us, like the, let's say, 3-7 of hearts. We block that now, whereas if we only had the king of hearts here, we unblock those lower flushes, so we would be more likely to bet. And so, you know, having the two hard cards, so having the 3 of hearts as well with the king of hearts, I think the solver, Prodigy does check, and I think the solver checks these type of combos also more often. Prodigy does so, and Linus has a very, very pure bluff. But I think the solver is going to mostly just gonna bet a regular size. Maybe low frequency shove. Linus does shove here. But maybe Linus should choose a hand like Jack 8 to shove with, because Linus is more or less pretty much, I think, only representing full houses here. The question is, does Linus also do this with a king of hearts, like a king jack with the king of hearts, or ace king with the king of hearts? Because this is almost a 3x overbet, right? And Prodigy is definitely thinking about it. Like, Prodigy realizes that Linus value range is pretty much only full houses, so he has a pure bluff catcher in that case. And yeah, he's thinking, does Linus have enough bluffs here, or should I call here? And yeah, I think Prodigy should mostly call here, maybe pure, but maybe there's a little bit of folds there. And yeah, maybe Linus does not have king of hearts with this overbet shove. But yeah, let's dive into the solver and find all of this out. Okay, so there we go. I set up the tree, but I haven't taken a look at the major outputs yet. But let's take a look. Going to the flop. I said the solver was betting 2 big blinds on this type of board, but it was actually betting 3.4, but I set it to 3.6 what Linus bet. He had 10-9 of diamonds, which is indeed betting a bunch. Going to Owen's raise. And indeed, this is a really great hand. Very high frequency check raise. Yeah, we see that the nut flush draws calling more often because of the showdown value, I suppose, and I don't know. While still with the lower, we see indeed with the lower card is actually raising more often. We see that with the aces, the kings, and the queens as well. And that's probably has to do with unblocking certain hands that will c-bet that will then fold or something like that. But let's take a look at Linus' reaction. It's indeed a pure call with that hand. On the turn, the solver was betting 12.2, which is indeed also a small sizing, and I said we're gonna set it to what Messere was betting. It's a pretty good mix here for the King 3 of Hearts here, mostly betting, but it definitely has to balance you know, the weak checks here that he may have with, you know, some very strong flushes. They're really checking a lot. So he does bet. I think, yeah, Linus, I think the bet is small enough that Linus has probably a pure call and otherwise a high frequency call. It's just small enough that he has to sort of float with the, you know, with the open ender there without a flush draw. You know, there, yeah. And indeed, like, it's folding a little bit, but it's very, very, very close. It can even raise. That makes sense. I mean, does it make sense? Yeah, it makes sense to bluff also with a hand that doesn't have a heart in it. So on a heart, you know, we can actually bluff something like that, and it still has that equity when called against two pairs and whatnot. So actually, the open ender is indeed, you know, bluffing a lot, but it's very close for Linus. Okay. The King 5 indeed is checking a lot, but the King 3 is betting most of the time in Owen's shoes. But let's actually give it multiple bet sizes because I think it makes sense. Just to take a look, something like this. I think it makes sense for the solver to also have smaller sizes with, you know, low flushes and whatnot, and it does indeed bet some smaller sizes, probably even smaller than this if we gave it that option. But it's interesting, yeah. We can see, for instance, the King 7 and King 5 checking most of the time, while these lower King high flushes, are betting almost all of the time. But he did make a nifty check that allowed Linus to go for the bluff. And I think indeed it's a pure bluff, I was going to say, but it's nearly a pure bluff. We see the 10-9 offsuits here without a heart, sometimes checking back the 9 of hearts, 10 of hearts, and checks back. That makes a lot of sense. But we see it's very close. But yeah, it's pretty much a pure bluff, and indeed, the solver does have some shoves in his range, excuse me, but it indeed comes from hands like Jack 8, and yeah, hands that block a full house. That sort of makes sense, right? Because maybe Owen is checking with a bunch of full houses, like Jack 6 or name it, pocket 8s, and then it makes sense that if we go for the shove representing those full houses, because indeed, okay, I'm wrong about that. We see here some King 8 with the King of Hearts also going for the shove, so there are some King of Hearts shoves, making Owen Messere's call on the river a lot better. If it was only full houses, it's definitely much closer. Then I think Owen has to call, but anyway, we see the bluffs mostly come from, you know, when we hold a pair, and then it makes sense that the missed open ender here is, you know, not blocking the pair, is just going for the regular size bet, which Linus is going to make with a lot of the, you know, Queen high and King high flushes. And Queen of Hearts is the cutoff. We see a little bit of checks with that as well. So yeah, that makes sense. It's not really the combo for Linus to go for the shove with. We see it's actually pretty minus EV as well. So yeah, in pure GTO sense, it was kind of a punt for Linus. He has to bluff with, you know, bluff shove with hands with a pair in it just to block the full house. But let's take a look finally at Messere's call, and the King 3 of Hearts is not in the range, but we see the king X of hearts, of the king high flushes are indeed pure calling. And yeah, that's not even close. He shouldn't even have tanked so long. But yeah, those are pure calling. Whereas that's just mainly just because of like I said, the king 8 of hearts, or maybe these as well. King Jack with the king of hearts. These are just should be in Linus value shops range, which makes Owen Messere's call very, very pure. Okay, that was it. I hope you liked this analysis, and thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.